Yo, 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 what's good, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Coach Collis Stutzer, dropping in to talk to you guys about the Foundry method for eating. And all this document really is a breakdown of how I like to think about nutrition intake, and like nutrition lifestyle management would be the best way to describe it for my clients. So, my scope of practice at the end of the day is strength and conditioning. I help people condition their heart, improve their cardiovascular health, and I help people safely, properly do resistance training and progressively get stronger. And depending on their goals, muscularly larger or increased lean muscle tissue, and or reduce body fat. These are the areas that I work in, they're my scope of practice. But no matter what, when it comes to anybody hitting their physical fitness goals, when it comes to improving their mental health, when it comes to improving their physical health, nutrition is a part of the conversation. I don't provide dietitian or dietetic advice. I don't give meal plans. I don't tell people what they have to eat. I just give recommendations based on my experience as a coach with past clients, and let the client work with their doctor, their nutritionist, their dietitian to dial that in even more if needed. So that's more of a disclaimer before we jump into this video. But I guess with that being said, let's just go ahead and hop in. So the Foundry method for eating. Most people try to eat better by guessing. They're like, I saw this TikTok video, I saw this Instagram video. It says I need to eat vegetables, so I'm just gonna start eating random vegetables. Or I need to eat more red meat, so I'm just gonna start eating more red meat. And they kind of just follow blindly what they see on the internet and try things here and there. Same thing goes for workouts. They do a couple random workouts that they saw online, or they see a group fitness class blowing up, and they're like, I have to go try it. But they don't have any structure. They don't have any intentionality behind why they're choosing the foods that they're eating, why they're eating the way they're eating. There's no individuality behind it. It's more just this video inspired me and I'm doing it. But at the end of the day, people are working out more, gym memberships are up. People have all the free advice online, but obesity is still rising, and I don't believe it's because of willpower. I think it's because they don't understand the problem. They don't understand how nutrition works. They don't understand how exercise works. They don't understand just the basics. And I think if people have more education, then education drives compliance. And when compliance is happening with the program, or people are consistent and they're showing up, then compliance drives results. So I guess my theory on how things work here is you need to have an understanding of what's going on inside the body before you can actually make real, genuine changes. So let's talk about how your body actually uses energy. Before we talk about macros, meal timing, rules, we need to understand how your body metabolizes or utilizes energy. And once we understand that, fat loss, muscle gain, maintenance of muscle mass, maintenance of your current body weight, all will stop feeling like you're doing some sort of magic trick you found online, and more like, hey, I have a strong understanding of how my body's functioning and how the body works, and I know how to listen to my body, and I know how this process goes. And you start to feel more empowered and confident about the process you're going through. You start feeling like it's more of a cause and effect and less like a random magic trick. So the four things we need to understand are the thermic effect of feeding, non-exercise activity, exercise activity, and energy balance. Each of these have their own acronyms that go along with them. So if you hear anything like TEF for thermic effective feeding, NEAT for non-exercise activity, or EAT for exercise activity, that's what it stands for. So let's start with thermic effective feeding. Thermic effective feeding is the energy used to digest and process food. This is why we encourage people to increase their protein intake, because protein as a macronutrient is one of the highest or protein dense foods require the most energy to digest and process. And for individuals who are trying to lose body fat, if there's any minute thing that we can leverage, then we do so, which is another good reason to intake protein. But thermic effective feeding, TEF, is simply the energy required to digest and process the food you put into your body. Okay? So that's one way that the body utilizes energy or leverages the energy you put into your body. Because remember, a calorie is just a unit of energy, okay? Non-exercise activity. We have energy used for all the little movements that aren't formal exercise. So me moving this hand, like this hand you keep seeing move right now, or if I was chattering my teeth, or if I was fiddling my thumbs, or if I was playing with the ball in my hand right now, or if I'm tapping my feet below the table, this is what we call non-exercise activity. It's physical energy used for the physical movements that aren't formal exercise that we do throughout the day. So walking from my desk to the restroom, standing up and down from the toilet when taking a dookie, getting in and out of the shower, whatever it might be, okay? Then we have exercise activity thermogenesis, which is energy used in structured workouts like running, jogging, intentionally going on a long, fast walk, going to your group classes, going to Pilates, yoga, any type of physical activity that was intentionally used as a structured workout or an intentional physical activity is what we would call exercise activity. And this exercise activity thermogenesis is the process of energy being burned to support a structured workout or intentional physical activity. And then the last thing that I mentioned that we should have understanding of is energy balance, the relationship between energy coming in and going out. And in order to understand energy balance, you need to understand the three things we just discussed: thermic effective feeding, non-exercise activity, and exercise activity, the three primary ways that thermogenesis happens inside of the body. So energy coming in and energy going out, if the same amount of energy coming into the body is the same amount of energy that's going out, we have energy balance, where you maintain the same weight, or you likely maintain the current body type, but really just like the same weight that you have right now. Now, if you have more energy coming in than is going out, like me the past month, you will gain weight. So Collis has been choosing to eat an excess amount of food that he doesn't think he should be eating. So hyperpalatable foods like oatmeal raisin cookies over there, or pepperoni pizza, or a cheese pizza, or breakfast burrito from the coffee shop. If I'm having an excess amount of calories coming in and it's not matching up with the amount of calories that are going out, then I'm going to put on weight. Now that weight can be biased to support muscle building, or it can be blind and end up being excess body fat that is not needed and causes health issues down the line. Hence, the challenges we're facing in society right now with obesity, diabetes, fatty liver disease, all types of things, right? And then on the flip side, if the energy going out supersedes or is higher than the amount of energy coming in, then we lose body weight, or our body strips from energy stores, which hopefully, if we're eating enough protein, is pulling from our fat stores, but it also pulls from other areas as well. And depending on your nutrition and the structure of your macronutrient profile and how much food you're consuming and how much of protein you're consuming versus carbs or fats, will decide the composition and where your body pulls energy from, right? So hopefully that gave you a general understanding of how your body actually uses energy, so you can have that foundational understanding moving through life, right? So you know the types of foods you eat are influencing the thermic effect of feeding. You know that the jitteriness or the tapping of your toes or the fidgeting or the daily movements of life contribute to the energy being used for non-exercise activity. You know structured exercise. There's energy being used to support your structured workouts and intentional physical activity. And now you know the importance of energy balance. If there's a balance between energy coming in and going out, you stay the same. If there's more going out, you lose. And if there's more coming in, you gain. Okay? Very foundational understanding that's needed when we're thinking about making any changes to our body composition in life. So let's move on to, in this document that you're seeing next to my face, if you're watching this on YouTube, I break down the thermic effect of feeding a little bit deeper. We break down non-exercise activity a little bit deeper, and we break down exercise activity thermogenesis a little bit deeper. If you're watching this video right now and you want the PDF document to review this more in depth and have an even stronger understanding, I can send it to you. Just drop a comment below. And or if you follow me on Instagram or you have my email, coachstutzer@gmail.com, you can email me and I'll be happy to send it over to you for free. But for now, I feel like we've covered it with words and we're just going to move past those places. Now on the screen, I think maybe just to give you a little bit more visual, I think we should stop here. This is about the energy balance. So energy balance is the relationship between energy in, food and drink, and energy out. Baseline needs, thermic effective feeding, non-exercise activity, and exercise activity, okay? So on the left of this spectrum, we have energy in versus energy out. You lose weight, ideally mostly fat, if the plan is smart. In the middle, we have energy in and energy out are balanced, so equal to each other. You maintain weight. And on the end of the spectrum, you have energy in being greater than energy out. You gain weight, ideally mostly muscle, if you are in a structured mass gaining phase, okay? Your results are not random. That is the most important thing to understand. Your results are not random. They're a reflection of how your food intake and your daily activity interact over time. So once you understand thermic effective feeding, which you should have a basic understanding now, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, exercise activity thermogenesis, and energy balance, the nutrition itself stops being a guessing game and becomes something that you can actually engineer to maintain or achieve your goal, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, moving on. Macronutrients. We're going to talk a little bit about macronutrients. So macronutrients, we have protein, fats, carbs. One thing that some people would add in here is alcohol, but we're going to leave it out for now. So no magic foods, no forbidden foods. It's really important to understand that there are no forbidden foods. In my coaching plans, I allow people to have cookies if they want it. They can have pizza if they want it. But we have to think about the grand scheme of things. Like at the end of the week, what types of foods, what are we putting in our body, and does it match our goal? Does it match how we want to feel? Does it match how we want to look? If it doesn't, then we obviously need to make adjustments. But there is no magic food that will get you immediately to your goal. There's no magic food that will build muscle mass super fast or make you get shredded super fast. Just because you eat a handful of blueberries every day doesn't mean you're going to lose weight. So when you see things on the internet that make it sound like a certain food is magic and will get you to your goal, do not believe it and start to question the rest of the content you see. Same thing goes for no forbidden foods. There is nothing that's forbidden, okay? When we think about the concept of healthy foods, we need to understand health is only you have to look at it from the context of the individual. So if I eat a bite of broccoli right now and I get a stomach ache or I break out in rashes or I throw up because my body just doesn't like it or doesn't interact well with the content of the broccoli or what's inside of the broccoli, the macronutrients inside of the broccoli, the macronutrient profile, or maybe I'm allergic, whatever it might be, if my body doesn't interact with it, then broccoli, which is widely known as a quote-unquote healthy food because it's a vegetable, is no longer healthy to me as an individual. Does that make sense? So we have to think about food and health from that perspective. For somebody, white rice might be great. For another somebody, white rice might be a terrible idea, okay? So there's no forbidden foods. It's all dependent on the context of the individual and how that human's, body and the feedback system or feedback loop from eating specific food, how it informs you, okay? So with that being said, let's talk about protein, fats, and carbs. Again, this is going to be super what do they call it? High level, not high level, but we're looking at it from a broad screen. We could get super in depth. We're just trying to get a basic understanding because you don't need to have a doctor's understanding of nutrition, a dietitian's understanding of nutrition to be able to have improved health, okay? So let's talk about protein. Protein's main job is one of its main jobs is structural and repair. So essential for muscle tissue, enzymes, hormones, and immune function, okay? When it comes to recommendations, both from the government recommendations or RDA, and also just from a coach's perspective, we stay anywhere between 0.7 and 1.2 grams per pound of lean body weight daily, or for some people 0.7 to 1.2 kg per kg. And so when we think about it this way, for an individual like me who's 200 pounds, my general recommendation to me, because I'm trying to maintain lean muscle tissue, and if I can continue to build it, I want to stay towards the higher end of that recommendation, which is 1 gram per pound. But at the very minimum, if you really struggle to get protein intake in, we would say 0.7. And you can obviously move your way up and down that spectrum depending on the season of life, depending on your current body composition, and depending on your goals. Okay, moving on to fats. Fats are super essential for hormones and brain health, and just generally good for baseline health. So fats support hormone production, production of cell membranes. They support the health of the nervous system and also brain function. Okay, and when we talk about recommendations for total intake, anywhere between 20 and 35% of total calories is a spectrum you can work with. If you're not a huge fan of fats, or depending on your blood work and what your doctor says about how to whether, for specific health reasons, reduce your body fat or your fat intake or increase your fat intake, you can adjust that spectrum. What I tell most people is don't go below 60 grams of fat. Maybe don't go below 50 grams of fat for just general health reasons. We do need to have fats in our diet, okay? And for men, don't think hormones just apply to women. We have hormones too. And there's a very important hormone that all men care about and want to sustain as long as possible. And fats are indeed, cholesterol specifically, is indeed necessary for the production of testosterone. So just know that. Carbs, fuel, and performance. Carbs are an essential, well, let's not call it essential because they're actually not an essential macronutrient, but they are very useful for providing fuel and assisting with performance in specific activities, being one of the macronutrients that can be turned into energy the fastest. So primarily used for flexible fuel for performance, especially around training, and it's typically the dial that as a coach we adjust based on training and goals. So if you're a fucking triathlon athlete or a power athlete, there's going to be an adjustment in carbohydrates, right? But if you're an individual who's, recently diagnosed with diabetes, you just want to feel healthy, you just want to feel strong, and you're 55 years old, maybe we turn the dial the other way, if that makes sense. But these are your three main macronutrients to have a basic understanding of. And especially if you're joining the Foundry team, you'll hear us talk about this here and there in terms of some general recommendations, not prescriptions, but recommendations on where to hang out and how to think about the spectrum of the recommendation of specifically protein or fats or carbohydrates. Okay? So moving on from there, let's talk about the Foundry plate method. The plate method was not created by me. Many companies have popularized the plate method. I particularly, specifically learned the plate method from Precision Nutrition, but we kind of mix the plate method with Adam Bornstein's fast food eating method / he kind of just recommends this for general daily strategy around eating. And I kind of combine the two of them to do what I think works best for people. Okay, so if you remember nothing else, remember this: protein plus fiber first. Then you add a +1. And this +1 is going to be either a carbohydrate or a fat. So let's jump into it a little bit deeper. We always lead with protein. So when we build a plate, so whether we're cooking at home or whether we're going to Chipotle, the number one thing that we need to build our plate around is a protein source, preferably a lean protein source. Okay, so we're talking fish, we're talking chicken, we're talking eggs or egg whites, we're talking Greek yogurt, beef, and other types of red meats would be considered as well. But either way, we're looking for lean protein and building the plate around that. So whatever you get, this is your anchor. Protein is your anchor. If you hit your protein goal for your plate, so let's just say for an individual, we're like, hey, I want you to get around 30 grams of protein at each meal, then that's the first thing you prioritize. Next, we want to load up on fiber, okay? So think about fiber-rich foods, vegetables, leafy greens, berries. Not all types of berries. There are specific berries, specific leafy greens, specific vegetables that you can do a simple Google search on to find, what's dense in fiber. But next, you want to add fiber to the plate and aim for at least half your plate to be fiber-heavy plants, and about the other 1/4 of the plate to be your protein. You can mix and match that. If you don't react well to certain vegetables or a certain amount of fiber and you have some GI distress, you can reduce the amount of fiber to 1/4 of your plate, half your plate being that lean protein, okay? Then we add our +1. Now our +1 is going to be a fat source or a carbohydrate source, but not both, okay? Not both. Okay, so pick either a primary carb source. This can be rice, it can be potatoes, sweet potatoes, brown rice, white rice, quinoa, any type of carb source, but primarily we're looking for something that's considered somewhat of a whole food, okay? Or you choose a fat source, and this can be avocado, cheese. This can be avocado, cheese, olive oil, avocado oil, but not both. Okay, we're not doing carbs and fats loaded onto a plate, doubling up. And a lot of my clients coming to me for training are typically looking for fat loss or to maintain their current body composition and get strong and just feel healthier. And that's why you see me kind of leaning in the direction of not overdoing it, because we're typically not for a lot of my clients, not prioritizing mass gain. Now, if that's different for you, then here's a quick tidbit, okay? If you're watching this video and it's different for you, when I say lead with protein, you're still going to lead with protein. Still, most of the time I'm going to have lean protein, but if you need some extra calories, then you can think about a little bit more fattier sources of protein, typically red meats, looking for like the 90-10 version of these things, okay? On a fiber perspective, you can lean towards fiber-rich foods that tend to have a little bit more dense calories. And when we talk about adding your +1, if you're really trying to put on some mass, then you can consider adding a +2, so having avocado and some rice. But that is specifically for individuals who are trying to put on mass, okay? So take with that, lead with that, what you'd like, okay? And then 4, we want to minimize processed foods at all costs, make your foundation mostly real foods, mostly whole foods, and limit ultra-processed foods to the best of your ability. They're designed to be overeaten, like I just started this conversation off with pizza and oatmeal cookies. Super easy to overeat. If you have kids in your house, put it on the top shelf or put it in the back of the fridge so it's not the first thing you see. You want to put all the things you want to eat front and center, everything you don't want to eat in the very back, hard to reach, hard to get. You got to get a stool, step on it, go in the top counter, reach back there to get it, okay? So last but not least, control the sauce. Everyone lets sauce go wild and forgets that they have tons of calories too, okay? So ask for your sauces and dressings on the side and use enough for taste, but don't drown the plate. Don't drown your salad. Don't drown your chicken. Don't drown your rice with sauce, okay? So that's your Foundry plate method. Moving past that, the takeout method is very simple. It's the exact same thing. So when eating in the wild, when you're looking at a menu or when you pull up to a buffet, scan for protein anchors. Find your protein anchors, find your lean protein sources, put it on your plate. Make sure it is the primary thing that you're getting when you're ordering your food. Next, you think about fiber. How is fiber showing up in your fast food meal? Look at the burger you're getting. Okay, does it have a great fiber source? If not, look elsewhere. So we're looking at side salads, veggie sides, vegetable heavy soups, but one thing I wrote in here is if your entire order is beige, you'll feel like trash. Not necessarily true, but it kind of gets the idea across. And then choose your +1, a carb or a fat, and get your sauce on the sides. Okay, it's the exact same thing. Okay, mindful eating and the bottom line. Okay, so these are the things you want to check mark. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, we're going to wrap this video up at the 25-minute mark, so we got about a minute and 30 seconds. I want you to screenshot this. Mindful eating, the bottom line. I'm just going to read it straight off the screen for you guys. How you eat matters too. You can have the perfect plate structure and still overeat if you're eating distracted. So put down the TV controller. Turn off the TV. Take YouTube away from your face. Put Instagram away. TikTok away. Sit down, lock in, and eat your food. After each bite, put the cutlery down, chew, finish your food. This is a struggle for all of us, including me, but I swear, if you spend some time intentionally eating, being mindful about your eating practice, you will improve overall health. You will improve overall digestion. You will improve overall how you feel. But here's your checklist. Lead with protein and fiber. Number 1, choose a reasonable +1. Not carb and a fat, but a carb or a fat. Minimize at all costs ultra-processed garbage as your default. 4, control sauces and mindless extras. Get them on the side, add as needed. And then lastly, eat without a screen in your face. And this is the baseline for the Foundry method for eating. It's not a diet. It's not a prescription for how to eat. It's a system that you can run for the long haul to improve your overall health and have more control over how you eat. Okay, hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Like I said, I wanted to wrap the video at the 25-minute mark. It's already long as hell. Be very surprised if you watch this full clip, but if you did, thank you. Foundry Health and Performance, and I'm Coach Collis Stetzer. You can find me on Instagram.